everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Geo, and this week the August mini majors are beginning. Obviously, let's get it out the way. We're all very sad the NA major is not actually happening, but NA, you gotta wear masks before any of that can happen. The first of the mini majors is, of course, the APAC one, and I'm going to be casting it. So before the event gets underway, I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a video where I discuss how I think the bracket for APAC North is going to go. Of course, my predictions could be entirely wrong, but we're going to give it a go anyway. So starting off with the quarterfinals, Cyclops versus Guts Gaming being the first one. Now this is the 6th place team versus the 3rd place team. And these teams did face each other off in phase 1 of stage 1. Guts beat Cyclops 8-6 on Villa, but they didn't face each other in the following stage. Now both of these teams looked like they had a slight slip in the second phase. Guts Gaming lost to Fav Gaming and Q Confirm, both of whom you may have expected them to put up quite a bit of a fight to, and they did win against Norengo, Talent Esports and Scars, who are teams that you would expect them to win anyway. Meanwhile, Cyclops had a weird bit in the middle where they really took Giants to the limit on Clubhouse, and then the following playday they lost absolutely miserably to Xavier on the very same map. I think Cyclops are a little bit easier to target ban with certain operators. We've seen it happen with them before with both the Monty and the Ash, whereas Guts in general have looked a little bit more flexible with a broader pool. Guts Gaming have been caught out in the past, but they've then gone and made the right adaptations to improve things the following playdate. For example, we did see that in their game against Scars. So my verdict for this game is Guts win. Okay, Xavier versus Fav. This is the 4th place team versus the 5th place team. Now they have played each other in both of the 2 phases of stage 1. In phase 1, Fav beat Xavier 7-4 on Theme Park, and in phase 2, Xavier beat Fav 8-6 on Coastline. Now, I think what's notable here is Xavier especially saw massive improvement in the 2nd phase. They are the only team to have beat Giants, and they beat them 7-1 no less. The closest game they had in phase 2 was against Fav Gaming, where they looked to struggle a little bit on the defense, but dominated on the attack. However, Xavier do look kind of limited in their map pool. They look super strong on Clubhouse, Oregon, and Coastline, but they have massively banned out Consulate Cafe and Villa 9, 7, and 8 times respectively, and so that just goes to suggest that only really half the map pool they feel comfortable in. Fav, meanwhile, have played all of the maps, they've just had more varied results. I think one of the big improvements that Fav saw, especially in the 2nd phase, was that beforehand they were relying a lot on Afro and number 2, their star players, and yet throughout the course of the 1st stage, they did bring everybody else up to speed so that you didn't necessarily automatically expect the team to lose a fight or lose a round if one of those 2 players had gone down. Xavier are a very, very strong attacking team, but they have been known to go kind of crazy on their defenses as well. I'm thinking back to their game against Cloud9, where they just played all shotguns on Coastline and completely decimated them. And so, because of that, I think Xavier have this one. So now we start to see our teams who have a bye, kicking off with Giants. Assuming Guts do win their quarterfinal, Giants versus Guts is going to be the game here in the semis. So they haven't faced each other at all in APAC North, so this is going to be an unprecedented game if it does happen. Giants have looked borderline unbeatable in the entirety of the APAC North division so far. The only loss they've had was against Xavier, and it was a 7-1 loss, which was just utterly brutal. But not only do they have a really strong squad, they also have really great support staff as well. Gig, formerly of Tokonami era Navi, is their head coach, and he's been doing pretty great at it so far, or so it seems from the outside. It's a bit of a meme that you can target ban them, as Luna Metal is known for being such a strong Monty player, but the players are so good on this team that actually it doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, when you look at some of the statistics of a couple of these players, Hysterix is always the one who gets spoken about. He's the highest rated player in the entire region. He's sat at plus 54 on his KD, 74% cost, which is also the highest cost rating. And you look over at someone like Ysira, who has the best SRV in the whole region, and then Speakeasy, who has the highest number of clutches. This is a team of gods. I think Guts Gaming have done exceptionally well to prove that they're not the underdogs of Japan and they actually have bite to their bark. But I don't think they're going to be good enough to beat Giants in this matchup, and therefore I think Giants are going to win it. Our next team who got a bye was Cloud9, and so if my predictions are correct for the quarterfinals, they're going to be facing up against Xavier. Now, I mentioned it earlier on, but these two teams did have a rather fateful match against one another on Coastline in Phase 2. They didn't play against each other in Phase 1, but Coastline in Phase 2... it ended up being a 7-5 to Xavier, where they just brought out all this crazy shit on defense. I mean, Jaeger with a shotgun, Scatman playing pulse shotgun, so many shotguns. But it wasn't even just that, it was the fact that Xavier's attack was just untouchable. Cloud9, just everything they tried to do, it got pulled apart. This is a team that generally look quite coordinated and well versed in what it is they want to be doing, and Xavier just picked them apart from the inside. I think Cloud9's biggest downfall is it is a team who oftentimes takes a couple of rounds to actually get into the swing of things, and especially if Xavier start on attack, it's going to give them such a dominating first half of any map that they may be on that it could really knock Cloud9 into the ground. Cloud9 will really need Xiao and Envy Taylor to be on point, and there have been a couple of games this season so far where they haven't necessarily been showing up as much as they need to be. So I'm going to have to give this one to Xavier. I think they've looked so strong so far. They've pulled this team apart in the past, and they did so great in Phase 2. Xavier are going to win. Now, assuming all of my predictions are correct so far, that means when we get to the finals of the elimination bracket, we're going to have Giants versus Xavier. The winning team of Phase 1 versus the winning team of Phase 2. I want this game because it would be fucking insane. In Phase 1, these two teams didn't play against each other, but in Phase 2, Xavier beat Giants 7-1 on Coastline, and it was an absolutely unforeseeable result, putting the champions of the region down into the ground and in such dominating fashion. No one saw it coming, but it happened nonetheless. It's a prime example of Xavier's attack being completely out of this world. And I've said it before, if they're allowed to start an attack, they could get that exact same leg up. Now, the thing that I think is key here is because the mini-majors are best of 3s, Giants could get an advantage in the map ban and pick game. Because, as I said before, Xavier are a little bit more limited, or at least from what we've seen. There are 3 maps they've played on really well, and there are 3 maps that they just haven't touched. They have banned without hesitation. So if Giants can play into that and force them to go on one of these maps they're not comfortable in, or maybe 2 of these maps they're not so comfortable in, then maybe they'll be able to get the one up on them. And I mentioned before, they're really strong support staff. I think they have a much stronger network within the team than Xavier do necessarily, and I think they would be able to use VODs of things that Xavier have done beforehand to be able to plan some very specific counter strats against them, even on the maps that they have done very, very well in. It's a really hard one to call because both of these teams have just looked so strong in this region so far. I'm gonna have to give it to Giants. I could be wrong, this is the hardest one to call, but I'm gonna have to give it to Giants. Regardless of whether or not they win, I want this to be the finals because it would be absolutely fucking insane. So those are my predictions for the APAC North bracket in the APAC mini major. Let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree with any of my predictions. I'm very, very excited to see how it's gonna go. I'm super stoked to have best of 3s. I'm so stoked to have best of 3s, man. Regardless, it's gonna be a sick week. So I hope you guys enjoy the event. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you did, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.